Hello dear students. Today we will be discussing the topic fast decoupled dot flow. So in the last class we had seen how the Newton-Raphson method can be used to solve the load flow problem. So in this particular lecture what we will be trying to address is how the extension of a Newton-Raphson method, or otherwise is also known as the fast decoupled method. Fast decoupled load flow method can be used to speed up your load flow process, the entire calculation. We'll start with the concept of decoupling. So in power system we have a concept of decoupling where we say that the real power is more related with the changes in voltage, or the changes in real power is uh, you know uh, governed by the voltage angles but not the voltage magnitude. At the same time, the reactive power, the changes in reactive power will be depending on the value of the voltage magnitudes, and it will not be affected by the angles. So your power is dependent on the angle, and the reactive power, active power is dependent on the angle, and the reactive power will be depending on the voltage magnitude. So we can say that there is a strong coupling between the real power and the voltage angle, and there is a strong coupling between the reactive power and the and this voltage magnitude, and the coupling between the real power and the voltage magnitude and the reactive power and the voltage angle is weak. So there is some strong relationship between P and delta, and a strong relationship between Q and V. Or in other words, we can say that these two are coupled together. And what is the concept of decoupling? Once we say that this P and delta are coupled and Q and V are coupled, we can also say that P and V are decoupled. At the same time, Q and delta are decoupled. So that means that the changes of real power due to change in voltage is less, and the changes in reactive power due to changes in delta is less. So we can say that, or in other words, the relationship between P and V is weak and Q and delta is weak. So this can be termed as a decoupling between these two parameters. Okay, so P and delta are coupled together, and Q and V are coupled. So this is a concept of decoupling. So this particular concept will be used in order to solve the this fast decoupled load flow. So there are certain assumptions that we consider before we move on to the analysis. We assume that the voltage magnitudes, all the voltage magnitudes which we consider at the different buses, are equal to 1.0 per unit. That is, all the voltage magnitude are assumed to be at the rated value, or we try to make the voltage magnitudes very close to the rated value or almost equal to 1 per unit. So this is the first assumption that we consider. Then we assume that the transmission lines are almost reactive, that is, the resistance is very small compared to reactance. So once you consider that, we'll arrive at the expression, or we'll arrive at the result that your conductance is very small in compared to the susceptance. That is, your R Z is given by R plus Jx. Okay, and Y can be found out by Z inverse, that is 1 by R plus Jx. So when you multiply with R minus Jx, so what you will be getting is that R divided by R square plus X square minus Jx divided by R square plus X square. So this is G plus JB4. So this is in G plus JB4. So once your R is, once you consider that your resistance is much smaller than your reactance, so from this equation we can say that your G is much smaller than B. Okay, so in that way, so this is the second assumption that we consider. Since R is much less than X, here G is much less than B. And also, the third assumption is that the angular difference between the two buses or bus voltages are very small. Rather, it will be close to 5 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees, and we can approximate it to almost close to 0. And we always try to maintain the angles between two buses to be very small in order to keep the system in a stable manner. In order to maintain the stability, we need to maintain the system voltage angles to be very small, or difference between voltage angles to be very small. So based on that concept, we assume that the difference between the voltage angles between two buses is approximately equal to 0. And the last assumption is that the injected reactive power at any bus is much less than the reactive power consumed by the particular elements connected to this bus. Now, this can be explained, and this particular equation is valid when you express everything in terms of per unit. And we can say that BII is equal to YII sine theta II. That is, this is Y. So Y sine theta gives B. So YII sine theta gives this. So this is again another reactive power term. Now when you consider this, normally your reactive power QI in per unit will be say 50 MVA. And with the 100 MVA base, and this can be equal to 0.5 per unit. Okay, this QI. Okay, and with 100 MVA base 11 kV, again the base voltage. If I say that BII, again BII will be equal to sum of all the values of admittances, that is the imaginary part of admittances connected to bus I. So suppose you have a bus here, so you have 3 lines connected to this particular bus, which connects another bus. So this is the ith bus. So the imaginary part of all these admittances of the transmission lines have to be summed up together to get BII. So this BII obviously will be a large value, because your admittance, the reactance value will be in the range of 0.5 or something. So if your reactance value is 0.5 or in that range, obviously the inverse will be a large value. So once you take the inverse, this BII will be in the range of say 50 to 60 in ohmic value, and once you convert that into the per unit value using this base 100 MVA 11 kV, I'm taking an example. Again, you will be getting the per unit value of BII approximately equal to some 50 something, and already the per unit value of voltage is 1. So the per unit value of voltage is 1 per unit. Okay. So based on this assumption, we can easily say that QI, which is the reactive power which is injected into the bus, is very small when compared to the power, reactive power consumed by the elements which are connected to that particular bus. So this particular equation also is valid when you do the calculations in per unit. Since we are doing everything in per unit, so this equation is also valid in that case. Now, moving on to the fast decoupled method. So we have 2 steps to follow. The first one is you have to decouple the real and reactive power calculations, and then you have to obtain the Jacobian matrix from the Y bus. So here also we have a Jacobian matrix, just like we have done in the case of the Newton-Raphson method. But the only thing is that the Jacobian matrix that we consider here is a simplified one. Okay. And these two are the equations that governs the entire process. So active power at any bus, PI, is given by this equation, and the reactive power is given by this equation. So here this is a cosine function and this is a sinusoidal function with the negative sign. So this is the equation for active and reactive power. So keeping this in mind, we will be considering the FDL for fast decoupled method. Now in a normal Newton-Raphson method, you will have Jacobian which consists of these four set of elements, that is the change in active power with respect to delta, the change in active power with respect to voltage, change in reactive power with respect to delta, and the change in, so this is Q, change in reactive power with respect to V. So this can be termed as J1, J2, J3 and J4. And from the principle of decoupling, what we can say is that your J2, that is your dou P by dou V should be equal to 0 and dou Q by dou delta should be equal to 0. That is the change in active power with respect to voltage is minimal and the change in reactive power with respect to voltage angle is minimal. So we can say that these two terms will get cancelled out, that is this term as well as this term becomes 0. So you will have only two Jacobian elements. So this is a reduced Jacobian matrix that we consider in case of the fast decoupled method, which simplifies our calculation. Now how can you say that these J2 and J3 are 0? We will just see how that can be explained. Now we will try to evaluate J2 with all the assumptions that we have taken. So the power at any bus I is given by sigma j is equal to 1 to n Vi Vj Yij cos theta ij minus delta I plus delta j. So this is a general equation that we have. Again, this can be expanded with taking the first or the ith element separately. So that is Vi j. If I take j equal to I, you will have one element where j equal to I. So where j equal to I, you will have Vi squared, because it will be Vi into Vi Yii cos theta Ii, and this delta I minus, it will be delta minus delta I plus delta I. So this will be 0. So once you substitute j is equal to I, you will have this term, and all the rest of the terms can be taken together, where j sigma j is equal to 1 to n, j not equal to I. So that gives rest of the elements in PA. So when you take the differentiation, the partial differentiation with respect to Vj, okay, so this particular term when you differentiate it will be 0, and the second term we have Vi Yij. So here we add a term Vj, so that Vj term is cancelling out, and since voltage Vj is really a single, will be appearing only in a single bus, so we'll have only a single term here. So Vi Yij cos theta ij minus delta I plus delta j. So this particular Vj, this Vj term gets cancelled once you differentiate, and this can be expanded using this this expansion cos a plus b. So once you take the expansion, do the expansion, you will have Vi Yij cos theta ij into cos delta I minus delta j plus sin theta ij into sin delta I minus delta j. This cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. And Yij cos theta ij can be termed as G ij, and Yij sin theta ij can be termed as Bij. And already we had told that your Gij is much small when compared to Bij. Okay, so this particular Gij is small when compared to Bij. So this particular term can be approximated to 0, and also so this delta I minus delta j, the difference between angles of the adjacent buses also can be taken equal to 0. So this particular term also turns out to be 0. So if I have an expansion like this, Yij cos theta ij minus delta I plus delta j, based on the assumptions that we have, we can say that this can be approximately equal to 0. Okay. Now similarly, when you do dou Pi by dou Vi, so just now we have done differentiation of ith active power with respect to different voltage Vj, voltage at a different bus. Now we are doing the differentiation of the active power at a bus I with respect to voltage at the same bus. So once you differentiate this term, you will have 2 Vi GAA is YAA cos theta, so that is GAA plus sigma VI YIJ cos theta ij minus delta I plus delta j. So the entire term will be there. Again, j not equal to I. So already we had seen that the expansion of this particular term is 0. Once you expand it, you will get 0. And this GII is very small. That also we had seen. Value of GII is very small. So this also can be taken equal to 0. That particular value. Okay. So this entire term will be equal to 0. So in general we can say that the Jacobian J2 will be dou P by dou V, which will be approximately equal to 0. So the second element of the Jacobian matrix, this J2, will be equal to 0. Similarly, once you take the case of J3, where you have to find the differentiation of the reactive power with respect to delta values. So the reactive power is given by this particular term, and you can expand this equation by substituting J equal to I. And once you substitute J equal to I, you will get this equation V minus VI squared by II sin theta II minus sigma J is equal to 1 to n, J not equal to I, and the rest of the terms. So once you take the differentiation dou Qi by dou delta J, that is the differentiation of reactive power at a particular bus with respect to angle at a different bus, this particular term will be 0 because there is no delta term here. And here, when you take the differentiation of this sinusoidal with respect to delta, you will have a cosine term. Again, we had seen that this particular term will be 0. So this can be taken equal to 0. Similarly, when you do the differentiation of Qi with respect to delta I, that is a change in reactive power with respect to change in delta of its own bus, what we will get is that you will again get an equation which is equal to 0. So in other words, or in general, we can say that J3, this is not J4, this is J3. J3 will be equal to dou Q by dou delta, which will be equal to 0. So we have J2 equal to J3 equal to 0. Now we'll have to evaluate the other terms, that is J1 and J4. So J1 is the evaluation of or the differentiation of active power with respect to delta. So once you differentiate this active power with respect to delta, so the first term is this minus VI squared YAA sin. So here you can say that this particular term can be split into two terms, that is VI squared YII sin theta II will be the first term plus sigma k is equal to 1 to n. Okay, k is equal to 1 to n. Pi Vk Yik sinusoidal terms. And so this is the expression for Pa. So once you differentiate, this particular term will be 0 because there is no delta term here. So this particular term will be 0, and you will only have this term. Only this term will be present. So that term is mentioned here. Then what you do is that we have to add and subtract this particular term. You add minus VI squared by AA sin theta on both the sides, or add minus and add together. So once you take the positive term, you can take that positive term into this summation. So once you take that positive term into summation, your that will be included in this equation, that is k equal to 1. So k not equal to I, so that term will be cancelled because you will have one term coming into this. So this is Vi Vk Yik sin theta Ik plus theta delta k minus delta I. So here we will have all the terms from 1 to n, including k equal to I. Because by adding this particular term into this summation, we have included that also. Okay, so this particular term is equal to Qi. Okay, and this is the expression for the reactive power. So this is minus Qi, and we can say that this is minus Vi squared Bii. Yii sin theta Ia is Bii. So this is minus Vi squared Bii minus Qi. So this is Qi here. And as we know, Vi squared Bii is much greater than Qi. So Qi can be neglected. And the magnitude of Vi squared is almost equal to Vi because everything is equal to 1. So we can write minus Vi Bii. So dou Pi by dou delta I will be minus Vi into Bii. Similarly, you can also take dou Pi by dou delta J, change in active power with respect to delta at another bus. So here also what we'll get is that the first term will be cancelled out and the second term will be minus Vi, Vj, Yij sin theta Ij plus delta J minus delta I. So this is delta I minus delta J minus delta I. So here this delta I minus delta J can be taken equal to 0 because the difference between angles is very small, and Yij theta Ij can be taken as equal to Bij, and the magnitude of Vj is almost equal to 1. So what we get is that minus Vi into Bij. So your J1 will be equal to minus Vi into Vij, or in general what we can write is that delta Pi by delta, that is once you have a small increment in delta, the change in Pi will be equal to minus B dash. B dash is the matrix of Bi, B dash into Va. So we'll see what this B dash is. So this B dash into Va. Now we need to find out this delta. The Newton-Raphson also we had seen that we have to bring an increment in this unknown quantity. So the unknown quantity is delta. So in order to bring the increment in unknown quantity delta, you need to calculate this. So the new value will be delta. The new delta value will be delta 0 plus delta. So this delta needs to be found out. So that can be taken as the minus B inverse delta Pi by Va. Okay. So in this way you can find out delta, and once you get the delta, that can be updated. The delta value can be updated using this particular equation. So we'll also see how we can calculate your J4, which is the change in reactive power with respect to Vi. So again, the reactive power can be split into two parts, and once you differentiate it with respect to Vi, you will have 2 Vi Yii sin theta Ia, because already the equation for reactive power Qi will be Vi squared Yii sin theta Ii, here minus sigma. Rest of the terms will be there. So this is a differentiation. So you will have Vi Vk Yik sin. So once you differentiate it with respect to Vi, you will have 2 Vi minus 2 Vi Yii sin theta Ia minus this Vi term will be cancelled out. Now what you have to do is you have to multiply the entire J4 with Vi. So once you multiply, what you will get is that 2 Vi squared Yii sin theta I. So Yii sin theta I can be taken as equal to Bii, and you will have minus 2 Vi squared Bii, and here once you multiply Vi, you will have a Vi term also here. Okay, and you can split this particular term into minus Vi squared Bii minus Vi squared Bii minus sigma. Rest of the terms, these terms will be here. So once you combine these together, you will get Qi. So this entire term is equal to Qi. This minus Vi squared Bii minus sigma, rest of the terms will be equal to Qi. So that Qi, this is plus Qi, and you will have minus Vi squared Bii left out. So that is here. So again, we have seen that Vi squared Bii is much larger when compared to this Qi. Qi magnitude is very small, so you can neglect Qi, or it can be taken equal to 0, and then you can divide with Va. So once you divide with Va, you will have J4 equal to minus Va into Bii. Okay, so J4 will be equal to minus Va into Bii, or in other words, delta Qi by delta Vi will be equal to minus Vi into Bii. Similarly, when you differentiate Q with respect to Qi with respect to Vj, you will have minus Vi Yij sin theta ij plus delta j minus delta I. So this particular term will be 0. So n is minus Vi Yij sin theta ij. So that will be equal to minus Vi into Bij, or dou Qi by dou Vj will be equal to minus Vi into Bij. Now from this the unknown, the value is, or the variable is delta V. So delta V can be found out by minus B double dash inverse into delta Q by A. So this B double dash can be obtained from the Jacobian, from the Y bus. The B dash as well as B double dash can be obtained from the Y bus. So from the Y bus we will see how this B dash and B double dash can be evaluated. And once you get this, the FDLF, or the fast decoupled equation, can be found. That is equation to find out the unknown variables, the increment of variables delta delta as well as delta V. So B dash and B double dash can be obtained directly from Y bus, which represents susceptance matrices, and B dash will be corresponding to the unknown of delta. So because B dash is corresponding to delta, so that will be related to both PV bus as well as PQ bus. So the unknown values of deltas are present at both the PV bus as well as PQ buses. And B double dash corresponds to voltage. So the susceptances correspond to unknown voltages. So that voltage is present only at the PQ bus, because in PV bus voltage is already specified. So in that way you have to obtain the B dash and B double dash from the Y bus, and once you obtain that, you can easily inverse them. These are all numerical values, can be inversed, and you can easily find out the unknown variables delta delta as well as delta V, and then later we can find out the latest value of the variable after the this iteration process. So this is what the entire process that you need to follow in case of fast decoupled load flow method.